Hey guys, Moss here. Hope all is doing well. Happy spring. Springtime's coming up. It's a spring equinox coming up for you on this Moss on Sunday. Also, it's my birthday coming up tomorrow, my real birthday. And then what else is going on? Oh, New Year's for many individuals, the Middle Eastern countries or the Muslim countries and so on. So happy New Year's. Guys, it's a lot of stuff happening. Even at a frequency level, a lot of stuff happening. To me, when I see, it's the end of a cycle. It's the end of a, say, planetary cycle where the Earth creates one whole cycle. Again, a new day of spring, right? So it's a great time to start fresh. We're doing great on the 18-day hyper meditations where we just ended, coming into, say, that new simulation or new version of ourselves. So those people on the 18-day hyper meditations, comment in on what's going on. Here, I'm here in LA. We're doing some private functions here. And, last night as I was driving back from San Diego, it was pouring rain. It was beautiful. But today I can actually see the city. I can actually see the mountains. That fog, that haze that's always hovering over LA. It's not there anymore. I'm going, wow, it's so much more beautiful. That's the coming of that's basically what's to come. And it's a beautiful feeling. But the thing is, this freshness, it needs to stay here. How does it stay here? Well, it has to let go, right? So you're going to see a lot of dirt coming up in the world. That's why you're seeing what's happening in the Ukraine, what's happening in Russia, what's happening, in the U.S. and all the people involved and all the other countries involved. There's so much stuff going on, and what we're doing though is we're handling it the old way. That's the problem. We're handling it the old way. We're still thinking the old way. The leaders that are involved in it, they're still the same old patterns. They're still the same patterns of shit 75 years ago. Do you guys know what happened about 75 years ago? World War II, Hitler, so on like that. We're still handling it the same way. The COVID experience that happened, again, happening about 75 years ago. And then from 75 years ago, whatever happened way before then, with the French coming to mind, and then other countries, the Crusades coming to mind, and so on and so on. So we keep repeating these patterns thinking, well, it's this situation and we're different, but we're not. We're not any different, and that's why today's Moss on Sunday with me, Moss Sajady, we're going to think about critical thinking and what it's really about. So on this Moss on Sunday, what we're going to do is, well, how to tease out what's real and what's not. There's so much information, and the only difference is that we're still thinking, we're still processing the same way as yesteryear or yesterdecade or even yestermillennia. We haven't fucking changed. A lot of us haven't really changed from the Stone Age. We're all in that process of, we got to control our world. We got to stay, say, secure. But security doesn't come from holding on to possessions or lack or sacrifice or anything like that. So you can't critically think if you're in that mode. Maybe I just gave the whole talk away. That's the key. If you're thinking in lack, control, and then sacrifice, you're not critically thinking. Okay, some people go, well, I'm really highly intelligent. I'm looking at all the facts and stuff. You're not critically thinking. You're not, because critical thinking is not about that, or at least XI critical thinking is not about that. That's the key, right? That's not critical thinking. If it was critical thinking, you'd have better solutions in today's society. Your life would be a hell of a lot better off if you did critically think or think critically. Okay, so again, if your life is not going the way it is at a personal level, at a group level, at a society level, and then at a world scale level, and even at, say, nature's level, if it's not going the way it should, and it looks like it's not really going the way it should, and we've tried over and over again, and we keep making the same mistakes. How many of you kept making the same mistake over and over again in your life? You get into the same situations. And you're highly intelligent people. I mean, highly, highly intelligent people. A lot of you, have PhDs, doctorate's degrees. You're an expert in whatever field that you are, and then again, look at your life. That's not critical thinking. And also, if your life is not, say, going the way it is, the condition of your life, and you might be, a billionaire, but look at your internal life. Is it going that great? I know you might be successful, highly successful, because a lot of people go, well, it was my thinking process that got me highly successful, so I'm going to use that. Or, I won this, I don't know, some science, Nobel Prize, or, or, I was an expert in this, I'm the leading expert in this, and you might think that that's critical thinking. It's not. Look at the condition of your life as an individual. Okay. The reason why I say this is the way your life is turned out, no matter how good you are, no matter how much of a sage you are, no matter whatever that other people or you think about yourself, the condition of your current life, your internal life, including your health, how you age, how you don't age, well, that's how, that is how the condition of your current life, your internal self, basically, that condition is basically spewed through or processed through or is part of, say, your critical thinking or your decision-making process. So all the solutions that you've provided through your critical thinking, okay, has that distortion of how your life runs. That makes sense to you? So say that your life is totally fucked up, okay? And you're a genius, and you solve problems for a lot of other people. That fucked up state, frequency, is in the solutions, although those solutions might be the best thing out there at the moment. And it sounds crazy, but you go, well, those solutions work out. Yes, they work out at a physical level, but long term, those solutions they're not long-term solutions. Okay? And overall, there's a lot of leaders that go to these experts that, give them great ideas, or they come up with their own, but then look at the long-term effect of the solutions or the problems that they used. Even science theories, right? Critical thinking, they come up with these fantastic solutions, but then look, a decade later, in almost every science, especially when it comes to human physiology, a decade later, it's like, well, shit, we were totally wrong. We messed that one up. It's totally the opposite. So they use critical thinking, but where did critical thinking, or how did critical thinking go so awry? Does that make sense to you? So again, what is critical thinking? And, critical thinking, and this is what we're going to go through, is I'll share these three things, and I'm just reading the notes here. How to observe without immediately coming to conclusions, how to hold opposing viewpoints at the same time, and then how to access a higher level of truth that is available to everyone. And we're going to go through what I call a hyper meditation. So, there's this saying by, I think, F. Scott Fitzgerald, if I'm correct. Yeah, he said that intelligence, it's been said that, is the ability to hold two opposing ideas at the same time and still function. Okay, so that's the norm. And then, I was looking that quote up just to make sure it was F. Scott Fitzgerald that said that. And then I ran into this David Bertali. I don't know, but he goes, no, that's the definition of cognitive dissonance. Actually, no, it's not. So again, even his critical thinking, and he assumes that he's an intelligent person. I don't know, he is. Maybe he's got some good stuff or not. But a lot of people, and then, you go through, you scroll through, and I was seeing all this stuff about, no, it's cognitive dissonance. No, it's this. We got to watch out for that. That's not critical thinking. So critical thinking for most individuals, what they do is like they start to analyze, they start to pick on the details of, say, a certain subject or a certain thought. That's not critical thinking. That is not, and that's where we go awry, right? We start to have, like in scientific studies, right? We start to go, well, what about this? And they, again, they pick out the details, the most minute details of law in this case, the law and order, justice, and so on. It's like, well, she said it in this, and, she wrote this down. So, they get into the details, the nitpickiness. That's not critical thinking. That's just being critical. So most people, most individuals, they don't think critically. Okay? And here's the key. And so we're not going to spend a lot of time on that. Okay, there's enough. You've experienced it enough. You look at today's society. Look at the experts that you listen to. Look at all the news media. Somebody says it's about squabbling. Yep. Well, you didn't say it this way, so or you didn't cover it this way, or even the law nowadays. If the law isn't spelled out completely, then if you find a walk around, right, or a loophole in that law, then that people go, wow, gosh, I'm really smart. That's really critically thinking. It's not. A lot of lawyers do that. They move away from, say, justice and the truth by picking out the holes. Sure, that could help, but then what we do is, like, we try to cover the holes up by doing something else. So let's take a deep breath in. So we build walls, but the key is we're still thinking the same way. So let's do XI, critical thinking. Let's just shove all that stuff, what you've learned aside, whether you're intelligent or not, whether you believe me or not. If your life isn't working, maybe you should try something else. Let's take a breath in again. Notice your neck, notice your throat. We'll get into an experiential process for you. So the show is about how to think, not what to think. The show is about helping you come to your highest version, what your truth is, and then as you see your truth at a higher version, you start to merge with the mass truth. And then as you get to a higher version, you start to merge with that one truth, which is really, really important. And that's where we want to go. Most critical thinking, and here's this pyramid, again, all people's truth. Okay, that's where critical thinking starts. So take a breath in. Notice what your truth is. Notice what your truth has been back in the day when you were a kid. Again, 0 to, say 12, 13 years of age. Again, no matter how intelligent you are, no matter how, say, grand you are, or you think logically, that's another version of critical thinking. I'm a logical person. Well, look at your life. Again, straight out. If your life is messed up, or it's not the best that it could be, that messed up frequency of your life is in the solutions that you help other people, and you might be a genius with other people, then how come you're not with your own self? I'm not saying not to do that. I'm just saying, how can you think more or differently? So as you help other people, you're helping yourself. And more importantly, your frequency that's messing up your life is in the solutions that you're giving other people, which basically messes up their life as well. Got it? So if you have a dictator or a president, either one, it's all the same now, right? It's merging to be all the same. Every country's in a dictatorship scenario. All their fuck ups, all their control mechanisms, all that is going into the decisions that they're making. It's not critical thinking, right? So again, from, say, the base soul individual level to the highest level, nobody really thinks critically. So let's take a breath in. Notice that scenario, 0 to about 12, 13. And then from 13 to 18, did you notice that what you thought was true changed? And then from 18 to, say, 25, 27, usually about the age, you go think of 18 to 25, and then 0 to 12. Do you notice that a lot of things that you believed in excuse me, just one second. A lot of things that you believed in doesn't make sense. Although they might have been true at the time. And I'm not saying that you fucked up or anything like that. They were true at the time for you. But then how come they changed if they were true? Really confusing, right? So again, intelligence, knowledge, experience, it doesn't matter. It's the way the processing of information happens. It's not the knowledge that you have. Okay? There's a lot of critical, when I was doing this subject, thinking about, what am I going to talk about, critical thinking. There's a lot of universities that teach critical thinking. There's a lot of other modalities or, lessons on critical thinking. And I'm looking through their lessons and I'm going, shit, they're not thinking critically. They might have the mechanics down, which is fantastic. I'm not knocking down the mechanics. I think we need the mechanics. But the key that they're missing, and that's the XI critical thinking, as you take another deep breath in. Notice your current age. This is what's missing. Is that you're not observing how you observe. That's where critical thinking is highly, highly important. So it's not the knowledge, it's not the data, it's not the resources that you have that really, say, tell you or help you think critically. It's how you process information. That's thinking critically. And again, most individuals keep how they process information very, very different. You all, as you've gone through the XI process, have you noticed that your way or your method of, say, logic and thinking has changed dramatically? It wasn't a physiological level. It wasn't a psychological level. So if someone's saying, yeah, it was all like that bullshit. So those individuals who've massively transformed on the way they think, comment in. And again, did you notice that it wasn't a psychological change? Critical thinking comes from a very, very deeper level of yourself. Right? Critical thinking comes before your thought process. That's the difference. You think critical thinking starts from here, your brain, and then you're going to think differently on that. No, it doesn't. That's where critical thinking has failed us. Critical thinking, in fact, allows us to make it more concrete. Okay? Critical thinking allows us to, again, make more concrete of who we're not. Because we're holding on to solutions or concepts or processes of our old self. So in XI, critical thinking is functioning opposite. So let me give you a clear example. You're here in present moment time, okay? You're rendering yourself, you're creating yourself, and it's a little more advanced, but I think you'll get it, okay? Who you are up to this moment in present moment time, okay? In most individuals who think, which is pretty much all of you, most individuals who think, you're bringing all those filters with, and then you're critically thinking new data here, whether it's a scientific research or the next date or what you're gonna eat, whatever it might be. Again, so your filter of who you are is critically thinking on the objects ahead of you. So no matter how, there's a whole huge mechanism that is already processed that's already processed within you, creating you, rendering you the way you are. So even if you thought critically, it doesn't matter, because it's not what you think that works. It's how you think, or what consciousness, or what, say, simulation of who you are as you think critically. That's the key. Does that make sense to you all? It's who you are as a resonance, as a frequency. as a deep identity, your presence of who you are dictates on how critically you can think. Now, you might be able to solve problems and so on like that. That's really fantastic. But again, those great problems or those great solutions to those problems that we have in today's society, again, are tainted. They're poisoned with what you're bringing back from, say, the past. So this is why, thought leaders of today, solutions that should work really don't, no matter how brilliant they are, no matter how noble they are. So they're well laid out, thought out plans, but it doesn't work. To save humanity, how many leaders do you know, like Martin Luther King, or even the greats, Why hasn't it worked? That's why. Because they're bringing the process of who they are as human. So, and what I'm saying, the moment that you're here, your present moment, you've brought all your identity behind you. Everything that has happened to humans, because you're human, is within your thought process as you critically think about that solution. That's the problem. Even Elon Musk, really fantastic individual, but there's a lot of problems. Him as an individual, maybe say not the most congruent type person. Again, I love the guy. He comes up with fantastic ideas, right? But as an individual or as people around him, maybe not the best. So how can you think better? How can you have a better version of yourself as you go forward? And that's what we're going to spend the rest of the time here. So let's take a breath in. So notice notice your time frames: 0 to 12, 12 to 18, 18 to 25, and then 25 to your current age. Okay. Notice how you've changed. Now, that same process of you shifting and transforming, okay, is highly important. So breath in again. So critical thinking, the XI critical thinking, is where you start to observe the process of your thinking. So you're here, you're thinking forward. That's what most critical thinking is. XI goes, no, wait, you're here, you're in present moment, time, but you're observing the process of how you think. So you would have to step backwards a bit and observe the filters that you're, say, seeing life through. But if you step back or you step away and observe yourself thinking of what you're thinking about, then as you go through the process of thinking, you become the observer. So that's what real, they say, critical thinking is about. And as you become the observer in the XI version, you start to observe how you process information, or you start to observe how you render who you are at a deeper level. And this is where all your garbage starts to fall away. The 18-day hyper meditations is a great way to, say, process or let go of all that, say, definitions of who you've become in 18 days. And it's crazy how fast you can transform. And this is how you start to realize, it's like, oh my God, that process of how I've been looking at life is very, very different. Exactly, that's the key. Your identity of who you are has to change for you to think proper critical thinking. And then that's where you're at the lower levels, again, of society. Take a breath in. So again, your truth is down here, okay? A lot of people's truths are down here. What most people do is like, my truth, let's process it more and more. And this is where F. Scott Fitzgerald, where people think that Where did it go? It's cognitive dissonance, right? That's not the point. I lost the page here. Yeah, F. Scott Fitzgerald said once that the test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposing ideas in mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. Okay, that's not the way we need to do it or want to do it. What it's saying is that in the XI critical thinking is that you're holding on to two opposing thoughts. Okay, it's not the thoughts that matter. And that's where it becomes cognitive dissonance, like that one individual said, right? It's cognitive dissonance. And it's like you're comparing the two thoughts and noticing the differences. But what I'm saying is that, hey, let's step back. If we step back and then you're comparing how you're comparing the two opposing thoughts. Now that's highly intelligent. Most individuals can't do that because their insecurities are so strong, especially highly intelligent individuals, because their identity is of their intelligence. So they have to be right all the time, and they can't face the fact that they're wrong. So again, those individuals who claim or pride themselves in critical thinking, most likely they're not really thinking critically, but they're finding all possible ways that they're going to be right. Most of us are like that, by the way. We always find all the possible ways that are be right. So when F. Scott Fitzgerald was saying, if you can hold two opposing thoughts and perhaps get the best off this thought and then get the best off this thought and then merge the thought to create another version, which is even better, that hasn't even been thought of, that's where you go to the higher level. And that's how do you do that? And that's what the XI critical thinking is about. So let's take a deep breath in. Does that make sense to you all? Okay. And that's what we're doing now. And again, if you're new, you might go, God, this guy's confusing. It's kind of good because confusion allows your brain to expand and find bigger, better solutions. So if you're confused, because I don't think linearly, neither should you, it allows you to, again, see different multi-viewpoints. Most individuals in today's society, that's another, say, disillusionment of critical thinking, is like, okay, let's finish this step, go to the next step. So most processes or teachings of critical thinking is that linear. You close off this idea and concept before we go to the next one. We solidify this layer before we go to the next one. It doesn't work out that way. You can't do that, right? Because there's always variables that are interacting upon your decision or the right decision or the right answer, the truth, all the time that you don't even know about. So what you want to do is like you create a strong, say, foundation for this, but you don't close off your thought patterns. And that's why you might go, well, this guy jumps around, especially if you're new. It's like, shit, this guy jumps around. He said this, and then he moved on to this, and then he moved on to that. I do that for a reason. Because your thought process is not a linear process. Genius is not a linear process. Critical thinking is not a linear process. It's a spatial referencing process. And it's not just two-dimensional here or three-dimensional where, you're on the ground and, you're spatial, right? You're in distance. We're talking 3D dimension, right? Like in the air. So those ideas or concepts come from, say, dimensional states, the fourth dimension. Most people think critically in, say, one dimension or one point of time and space. That's another problem with, say, standard critical thinking. By the way, we'll be doing lecture series on how to do this at a deeper level for those individuals who are, scientists, CEO type individuals who want to process information, like an Elon Musk, but a better version of Elon Musk where you don't get, say, fucked up as you age. So again, take a breath in, a second or two. As you know, I highly recommend subscribing. to this channel. You might not get it at first. This might turn you off, which is totally fine. But if you're confused, and sometimes, I can feel the anxiety in you, it's like, God, I can't understand this guy. Actually, it's you stepping up to a higher level. Do you ever notice that you get frustrated with something that's pushing your boundaries? That's why you're frustrated right now, a good number of you. That's good. Stay frustrated. It allows you to push beyond those boundaries. And do you notice that in those states where you're just like, frustrated, and it's like, God, I can't hold on to this problem. I can't find a solution. And then you let it go, or basically you let go of this box that you've put yourself in, how you process information, and then you let it go. You step out of that box and it's like, oh shit, why didn't that come to me earlier? That's the third step. Take a breath in. That third step is that you want to observe all that's happening. Then you let it go. You just pause. Okay? That's it. Most people who pride themselves in critical thinking, and again, you might be great at solving solutions, but not the end game. You don't change your environment by your solutions. That's why the environment has stayed the same. That's why pollution is the same, although there's fantastic ideas out there that they solve problems, but they don't, because you're in the same consciousness. Got it? So take a breath in again. And that could be a higher level thought, so just let it observe, pause, and see what happens. The third process on this is that solutions don't come from here. And all great inventors know that, by the way. In fact, Einstein and many others, Edison, all those great inventors, what they did was they'd observe the situations, they'd go do their scientific experiments, they'd observe, the results, they wouldn't make a decision, they would usually go take naps, or go to bed, or go do something else, and forget about it. They would let it simmer in the background, and then that's where they got the aha moment. Okay? So, take a breath in. If you want to write this down, you can. So the 3 steps to critical thinking is 1, you step back. You observe how you're observing or how you're thinking. Okay? 2, you start to hold opposing viewpoints. You listen to other, say, media channels. Again, some people just listen to CNN. Some people just listen to Fox. And they go, well, that's critical thinking. Now, you observe, you listen to all, say, forms. You don't make any judgment. You just observe. That's a huge step in itself. Just observe without making any judgment or conclusions. You can ask questions, that's totally fine, to clarify what they're saying. But again, just observe, see it from their point of view. So as somebody just said, step back, right? You step back, observe, you hold multiple points of views. And if you can do that and stabilize without getting emotional or trying to, say, pull that other person into your, way of thinking, or or push away from that person that's not thinking like you. Again, but if you can stand stable and observe all these different positions that people have, and then you start to look at all these positions, you step back and you see how you're looking at all these positions. And that's all you got to do. Again, it's that observer standpoint. And then the third step is not coming to a conclusion right away. Okay? Again, you observing. So what you're doing is you are, 1, allowing all possible thoughts to come into you. 2, you are not coming to conclusions before you move to the next step. Now, this is frustrating for a lot of people because, and the reason why it's frustrating for a lot of people, because most people, especially highly intelligent people, are very, say, stuck on their identity of their intelligence. So what happens is that to be intelligent, okay, they can't leave any open ends. So they have to close moments of time before they go to the next moment. So highly intelligent people, some of them are, do you notice that comes with becoming anal? Or everything has to be like perfect or specific, right? The reason why is because they're insecure in time and space. They lose their identity of who they are. So it's like, hey, to hold on to my identity of intelligence or knowledge or my critical thinking or my logic, right, or common sense that I think I have to close that last moment of time, make sure it's closed nice and tidy before I get to the next step. Otherwise, I don't know where I am. Otherwise, I'll lose my space and identity here. Trained in school to have to answer every question. You don't. So when you can let go of yourself and you can stay in present moment states without using your intelligence or knowledge or any concept of this reality as you go through the process of time, that's where critical thinking becomes a great tool for you to, say, enhance not only your life will turn around, your life will improve, you'll get healthier, healthier, you'll get younger, you'll get more vibrant, you'll have access to even higher knowledge bases or higher levels of intelligence for you, by the way, as well. Not just about thinking, better solution, but you'll have a broader base, say, of concepts or variables that you can, say, come into or you can access. Hopefully that made sense for you. If you're confused, I would listen to this again and keep listening to it, especially if you get frustrated, because it's breaking apart your pattern of thinking linearly. So when you think spatially, and that's what F. Scott, again, at a deeper level, is basically saying, right? Don't think linearly, think spatially. And if you can hold multiple points of view at the same time, or basically multiple, say, again, points of view, which is not cognitive here, but different simulations of, say, different representations. So just clear this up, and then we'll get into, say, analyzing you all or scanning you all. So if you look at an object, okay, and it's the center of the room, a person looking from it from this side, the object's here, people are around it. People looking at it from this point of view has a different viewpoint than people looking at it this point of view, although it's the same object. So what changed? Your psychological tool didn't change. How you process information didn't change, and that's how most people do it. They stay here. But what you need to do, again, look at that person's point of view, because they're seeing it from this. It's a location issue in space and time. It's not changing your say mind reference. It's highly important, because as you can look at, say, 360 degrees of, say, a problem, that's where you can really critically think, and the steps that I showed you allows you to do that. Right? So as you can look at it 360 or even spherical from all around and still know who you are at a deeper level, it not only allows you to remove the filters of how you see things, but it allows you it allows you to, again, remove all the filters and how you see things. It allows you to be in a higher perspective or more knowledge. It allows you to see all aspects of who the possibilities of the solution. And then it allows you to expand into who you are. So as you find a solution, whether it's for other people or not, you become an expansive person. You're not the same person that was, years ago. You keep expanding as you find better solutions for you or yourself or the world. All right. All right. So, for those who want to critical think, the lecture series, Brilliant Minds, that's the whole process. If you haven't done that, take a look at it. If you're new, you might want to do some other XI lectures or courses before you get into the XI lecture series. Okay, otherwise it'll just mess you up. Alrighty, so let's move on to analyzing you. And again, a lot of new people, so thanks for watching. Subscribe, guys, to this channel so we can give you, bring you more free stuff. For those who are new, you know, we've got the XI podcast, Exponential Intelligence podcast. It allows you to become exponentially intelligent, so you can think and you can. The cool thing about observing how you observe and learning how learning how you process information. Once you got your handle down on how you see things, you can filter out how you see things and then get to the real solution. Right? You can open up to that. And then also, when you can see how you see things, you start to see the filters that other people are seeing things through. So say they come from an abuse pattern and they come up with a great solution. Okay? Forgot to talk about this. This person has an abuse pattern. They're coming up with a great solution. Okay? But that solution, like I said, is absorbed in abuse patterns. That's why the solution isn't the best solution. Okay? Although it might work out in this lower level, at higher functionings of who you are and society, it doesn't work out. Again, it destroys you. So what you do, you pull their solution. It's like, shit, that's a brilliant idea. Let's filter out the ingredient of abuse in that scenario. And let's use the solution, the real solution. Again, you're filtering out all the garbage that people have, and you have like pure, concentrated, say, answers or solutions. That's what it's all about. Again, it's amazing technology. It's an amazing process. So, all right, we've got the spring equinox coming up, guys, by the way. That's coming up tomorrow. It's a great way to start. Okay, it's a great way to start. All new. It's personal optimization, stabilization, March 27th. That's coming up. If you really want to optimize, and because we're thinking about critical thinking, we'll go into the deeper states or the deeper, say, rewiring of your genetic makeup. And if you don't know what that is or how that is, there's a lot of good content information on what I do at mossajady.com. Or if you keep just listening to this Moss on Sundays, a lot of content on what it is, what exercise about, how it transforms people's lives, again at a much deeper level, not at psychology level, like a lot of programs that are out there. Right? That's why your life stays the way it is. We have to change our whole identity. Personal deprogramming. It's about survival mechanisms. Again, if you're in a survival mode and you can't think critically, most people run survival modes or control modes. There's no way in hell that you're going to be thinking critically. So that's coming up March 30th. Wednesday, March 30th. So not too far along. And then if you're new to me, right, and you want to try the 18 days, I know a lot of people just want to jump on. I would suggest not. I would suggest taking the elevation coming up in April. It's four meditations throughout the month, and it's once a week, and you get your toes wet. You start to understand the knowledge of frequencies. It's not psychology that changes you. Again, it's the knowledge of frequencies or understanding how you resonate, or where you or how you, say, create a simulation of yourself in space and time. Okay, it's all about that. It allows you, again, to be of a higher order of who you are. So if you're new, I would suggest taking the elevation. It's a whole different, say, process on how you transform your life. And this is where you can transform your life, again, from the bottom up, from your genetic makeup, as I always call it. If you've been here before and you're getting that momentum, right? You're getting that momentum, the elevation would be good for you to keep that momentum. So you've learned how to stabilize on your own, but you're not just there yet, but you just need enough push just to keep that momentum going. Then I would take the elevation class for you. Okay, it creates independence for yourself. All right, so let's get on to the scanning, and I know a lot of you are excited. For those individuals who are new, what I do is I actually can access how you process information, literally, basically your algorithms. You know, like Facebook and Google, you know, they know what you're going to buy next because of your buying habits in the past. Well, basically, I see you, or I can analyze you the same way, but at a much, 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 much higher version. They're at this level. Okay, I'm fucking this level because I don't need to know anything about you. I just analyze again your algorithms or the way you process. So I'm not a psychic. It's you might call it intuition, but it's very, very different because I don't process through the five senses. And I teach that as well. And when you can do that, you can have future vision and think critically as well, because you can be an observer of all, say, possibilities or all realities for you, which is really cool. And that's where you get into higher levels of critical thinking, where you can bring in, say, different possibilities that aren't even available for most people yet. That's where genius, or that's where great inventions come through. Let me read this disclaimer here. This is Sajady with XI, Exponential Intelligence, Sunday, March 20th, 2022. I'm not a medical doctor. I don't diagnose or heal. I can scan your frequency signature and tell you what I see. So please consult your doctor. So if I give you, again, medical advice about what's going on with you, I'm just telling you what I see. I could be fucking totally off. Right? And I don't claim to cure anybody, although many individuals have cured themselves. The key word is they've cured themselves of the craziest diseases that a lot of them were dying from. Right? And again, I'm not a doctor in any way, but what I do, just give me 1 second, sorry guys, got to mute my phone. But what I do is awaken your own internal genius, your own healing abilities. And once you turn those on, hell, you can heal yourself from anything. And people have done that. So, and if you can't turn that on, I don't care what medical doctor you go to, what surgeries you do, whatever modalities that you do, or even Tony Robbins' life force and all that. If that's not turned on, nothing's going to help. You know, the latest technologies, latest medicines, you guys have all tried that. You're still in that same boat, right? Or you might feel a little better, but again, you're just dragging along your old self. This isn't about that. This is about recreating your whole self, your new self. It's about changing that channel. So if those are people, by the way, if you are reading that Life Force, it's really a fantastic book. But the key component that's missing is that you're still that same person and you're trying to put, say, whipped cream on top of things to make it feel better. I'm saying, hey, let's change the whole recipe of who you are. And then whatever that, Tony Robbins' teaching is, it's going to be fantastic for you. It's even going to be better off. Okay. So it creates a whole new identity for you rather than just a different version of it. All right. So if you don't want to be scanned, if you don't want us to use, say, your little mini session here in public media, then don't ask to be scanned. It's very, very simple. All contents are protected by copyright. You may not use our content in any way, shape, or form for any purpose without my written permission. All right. So let's go ahead. By the way, I don't need to know who you are. I don't need to know your real name, anything like that. You can just go, hey, scan me. It's literally connecting to, say, your frequency or your specific IP address, your frequency signature. Can you work on me? Says this is Jenny Dean. Yeah, so whatever you've done with XI, you've done really fantastic, but there's that one piece from what I'm seeing. You have a sacrifice pattern, Jenny, or, back in the day, you're probably a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, that kind of pattern happening for you. So what do? You get really, really good. You get to a certain level, and then that guilt and shame just goes, shit, I should go back. This is too good for me. I don't deserve it. Those kind of patterns, right? So again, guilt, shame, and then it's like, God, I got to go back. But this time, what you need to do, and this is, I'm not just scanning you, I'm just working on you just to switch that pattern, not just for you, but then those people who are of similar frequencies. Again, so just stay on the call and just observe. and I'll be working on you as well. So take a breath in, Jenny. So what you need to do is that you're going to get to a level and you're going to feel like deep regret, deep shame, deep all that. So those are the emotions that have to change. So you're at a level where you're recalibrating your emotions, basically. Okay. So shame, guilt, and so on like that don't control you the way they do. So would the way you do that, or even fear, okay? For some of you that might run fear, right? As you change the process, you would have to recalibrate your version or your definitions of fear. So in the XI scenario, I would not trust your emotions. Although everybody out there, and there's millions of books written out there, oh, trust your emotions, trust your heart. And XI, don't do that. Look at where it's taken you in the past. Observe, think critically, and go, okay, I followed my heart, and observe the outcome of your emotions, your logic, and see what happened. Did you think critically? So, and then notice that your emotions can change. They can, say, be edited to reformat or recalibrate you to emotions that actually guide you into the right direction. That's what emotions are for. But again, most people run emotions from, say, abuse patterns and things of, in this case, you, Jenny, guilt and so on like that. So those emotions will guide you back in. So you're at the end of your leash, by the way. So what you've done is like you've moved away from yourself to a certain level. The next step is like you break free from that leash. Okay? This is where you reach your end. Another way of saying it, you reach the end of your leash. Shame, guilt, and fear, basically, that's your leash. You go too far and you get extreme versions of that. And then it's like, shit, I got to go back. And then your life goes, and then you go, shit, why did I go back? Right? So again, stay there. You don't have to do anything. Just stay there. If you can just stay there and just observe the shame, the guilt, all the emotions, they start to break apart. And then as they break apart, boom, you're free of it and you can move on with your life. Right? So if I analyze you, if I scan you, just comment in on how accurate I was. I know I'm accurate. I've done hundreds of thousands of these, if not more. But it's good for you, especially if you're new, to go, shit, where did that guy get that information? Because it's in the ether somewhere. How do you tune into that channel? Please scan my 12-year-old daughter. It's Amin. So your 12-year-old daughter feels like there's a masculine energy or force that's controlling her. Okay, and it might be you. It just seems like it could be a father figure or like a grandfather figure. Could be that. Or, let's see. So it's like a grandfather that... so the grandfather was controlling or loving. Either way, it doesn't matter what it is. So what's happened is that the father is carrying the burdens of the grandfather. Yeah. And then that father is now controlling, say, the daughter, or taking care. And by controlling, taking care of him, loving her, whatever it is. So it's a masculine presence in the 12-year-old daughter. So this is where it really confuses her. It's like, well, shit, so I'm supposed to be a girl, and then why do I have this masculine frequencies? And so that's where it gets confusing. And this is where like the LGBT and the XYZ and all the other, say, alphabet that people use for that. So hardware wise, there's like, yeah, female, male, but then software, right? Through all these conditionings again, or filters, it really confuses. So in this scenario, your daughter gets kind of confused and she feels kind of like dark or lost inside. Like, shit, where do I go? It's because, again, there's a masculine frequency, and I could be off on where it comes from. And it could be the mother, by the way, the mother who, had a strong, say, father presence. So, and that's like controlled her life. And then that mother controls the daughter from a masculine, say, presence. Again, either way, however it shows up, because I get algorithms or patterns, I don't get, say, snippets or scenarios of your life, like, say, a psychic would. So the deal is there's a masculine presence hovering over her. And it's like a dark cloud over your daughter. So take a breath in. Let's just work on her real quick. So to help her observe, it's like, wait a second. There's a dark cloud on me. or there's this presence of heavy masculine presence, but I don't need to be part of that. Okay? I can just be my own identity. And then, again, even with this mini session, you'll start to separate and start to observe what the dark cloud is rather than just go, shit, it's coming on top of me. And then that, and as a note, by the way, she might pull away from you or push away from you more. And the reason why is like she's not trying to get away from you, but she's trying to get away from, say, that dark cloud. Okay? So although it'll look at a physical level that she wants to push away. So allow her to push away and have her create her own identity. Okay? By the way, the more you consume her or suffocate her, the more, say, confused that she gets. You can't make decisions for her, by the way, no matter what it is. You cannot make decisions, especially in this case, but all you parents who have kids, they should be making their own decisions when they're fucking like 4, 3, 4, 5. You give them choices. Do you want this or this? You don't go, oh, this, try this. Or, even like clothes when, I was raising my kids, it's like, they got clothes. It's like, hey, you lay out their clothes, like, hey, wear one. Let them make their own choices. Have them do things. It really creates, say, again, a solid. Have you ever noticed that babies and kids, they want to do things? Well, let them do things because it makes them proud. It makes them, say, stabilize and stand up on their own. So whatever's happened there, she hasn't been able to stabilize on her own. She's always been told what to do. Maybe it's like you. So again, get rid of that. This one is interesting. Can you talk about the different timelines being visible all at once? I saw and heard my cat walking around while she was actually sleeping in the closet. Actually, it's not a different time frame. It's not another, say, reality or universe that cat is walking around you, but you go back and forth in time where that cat was walking around you. That makes sense? So you're going back and forth in time, because that's what XI is about. It's about literally you going back in time, say, to your childhood. So it's not a psychological, say, journey. It's not like Freud, or it's not like therapy, or let's talk about that. Again, I'm not knocking that down. It's fantastic if it works for people, but it doesn't work for a lot of people, and it's very slow. It could take like 3, 4, 5 decades. It's like fucking 50 years of a species that lives about, say, 100 years, half your life. You could change that in 10 minutes. So what XI does literally is like you go back in the timeline into your childhood frequencies. You edit that, it changes all the different versions of you from that point forward. So that's what you're doing. So you're going back to a time where your cat was walking around. Now it might be different for somebody else. This one is Lynn Nelson, ready to step into the new version of myself. Would love a scan. Yes. So you literally are. And the cool thing is about this, and again, this is where, critical thinking works really well, is that you're observing how you're changing and going into the next version of yourself, which is really fantastic. Because if you can do that and still maintain, the momentum of going into that next version of yourself, what happens is that you start to, say, hone, or you start to smooth out, or you start to create efficiency on how you change to the next version. It's like, oh, wow, it was a little rough going from one version to this version. Many of you go through that with detox, when you're new. It's like, shit, I don't know how I'm going to the next version. And then you go to the next version, and it's like, oh, yeah, I get it. I usually go through this process, right? So for you, Lynn, start to observe the process that you go through, or what happens to you as you go through it. Sometimes you get a little fidgety. Sometimes you get a little nervous, not in a bad way, but a nervous like you're stepping onto the stage of your life. That kind of frequency or that kind of tension for you, say, get excited about it. It's like, oh shit. And this way, as you change into the next version, as you step into the next, even a better version than what you're stepping into, it's like, oh God, I feel nervous. And there's no outside reason. It's like, but it's a happy nervous. It's like, oh shoot, I'm getting ready to change. And then it's like, what do I need to do? And that's what you want to ask Lynn. It's like, hey, you know what? I want to be on the stage of my life. What do I need to do to be my best possible self as I change into that next version? So you're preparing yourself. So when you come on stage, you're like prepared for that next version, and you just take off. So what I was helping you with is, again, get more conscious of how you observe yourself changing into that next version, not just from this version to this version, but the journey in between. And then as you notice the journey in between, the next journey gets, again, more and more efficient. So congratulations. Don't listen to anybody. Yeah. For Lynn, yeah, for you, Lynn, as you transition, just follow, just be of your own mind. Don't listen to anybody, even if it's a good idea or not, just for that moment, because you want to lock yourself, because you've always been told what to do and so on. So as you go, again, transition into that next step, somebody might go, hey, let's go do this and that. But if you're in that transitioning process, it's like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, but no, and just go, I need my time to just, again, do it on my own without anybody else's, say, influence. Okay. And then that's how you lock in the concept of you not getting dissuaded by other people. Happy birthday! Thank you so much. This is Claudia. Yeah. Could you please scan me? Sure. There's a lot of, say, masculine influence in you. That masculine influence that comes from, say, a religious aspect as well. So to you, religion means sin. To you, religion means that somebody out there is always watching me, and that it's a masculine, somebody or God, however you feel that, is always like somebody always observing you and watching you. So you can never be yourself. So you would always like to try to hide things, hide your identity, do things in secret, or have secrets. And this is where in relationships, it doesn't work out well if you're trying to, be, say, secretive about your real identity, because you're holding on to your real identity as you, I don't know, have another identity that, is more, congruent with the belief systems. That makes sense to you? So in a relationship, it doesn't really work out well, because then it's like you have two identities. The one that you're showing, that representing yourself in that relationship, in that secret self. The problem with that is that that person will always think that you're cheating on them. Got it? There's always somebody else. There's always, you're not completely in the relationship, because you're not, because there's two of you. And as you age, this version of yourself gets more and more, but this version is, say, I don't want to say it's a fictitious version, but it's not a version that lives in this reality of the physical form. And then this is where you get distorted. This is where, say, mental incapacities happen. This is where you step aside. This is where, again, you might look at your elders, Claudia, and you go, yeah, they're there. They're sitting in a wheelchair or a couch, and it's like, you look at them, it's like, where are they? They're not there. They're just like a shell. That's why. Okay. Sometimes you do that even now. So again, it's because you've created two moments of you, or two of you, in two different moments of time, space time. So what I was helping you with, you observing your pattern here, okay, what you put out to the world, and then your secret self here, and then it's like, well, I was helping you become more and more aware of that. Okay, and then over time, it's like, wait a second, why don't I just be my real self? Okay, because you're old enough, you can choose whatever you want to do now, right? You're not, say, conditioned or controlled by, your younger days. So this allows you to merge, and you hold on to that identity. Let's see here. Silence the answer of ignorance. It depends, I guess, on how the person would define silence, or what it means to them. Hi, Moss. This is Marina. Hi, Moss. Please scan my progress. Thank you. So you are getting ready to step into yourself. Back in the day, I think it's like, well, I'll be literally logical. I'm just going to forget my body. or my sense of self, so to speak, and again become logical. It seems like because of insecurities or fear, and again, comment in if I've scanned you. So it seems like your mom was just frazzled all the time, or not a confident woman, let's say. So you're a little girl, you're looking at this, you're looking at her, and you're going, yeah, mom's not really confident. So you go, well, and then you've associated, well, mom's, female, and that's females are not confident. So, so what you've decided to do is like, well, you know what? And the reason why they're not confident because they don't think. So she might not have been the most logical person, right? So those associations with females, how many females have done that? Okay, and then what you've done back in the day, and again, you've done a fantastic job. So I'm just helping you say, package that up, your old self neatly, so you can just go, yep, that's what it is. I don't need it anymore. So congratulations, Marina. So what you're doing is that, well, to be logical, I'll be a thinker because guys or men think, right? And then that's why I say they're, I don't know, successful, and it's a man's world, so I got to think like a man. So a lot of women, again, they go into their head and then they lose their identity, which is really what's going on wrong with, say, the women's movement. They're thinking more and more like men, which is really sad. And that's why you were created as women, though, right? So, but anyway, you learn that being in your head keeps you even more insecure. Again, like more women, right? Guys, it doesn't work out for guys, so why would it work out for a woman? So now through XI, what you've done is like, you know what? I can use my whole body brain. I can be of one. And use all aspects, all engines, or all cylinders firing. So you're using your body, you're using your presence, and then that allows you to, say, again, fire on all cylinders for you, and that's what you're stepping into. And it's a really great feeling because as you think or as you go through the day, you're actually feeling your presence experience, and it's a euphoric feeling, right? And that's what you're getting into. So what I was helping you with is and you need an okay too. So for you, it's okay. For you, it's okay to allow yourself to just be and step into yourself. It's almost like you needed a masculine, say, authority. You could have been that masculine authority to say it. Yeah. So take a breath in. So you're stepping into a true frequency of being a woman that is, so basically you're redefining what woman is. And as you redefine woman, it's like, well, shit, that's a really good version. That's a really good definition. I'm going to step into that because you are a woman. And so you're stepping into yourself. This is where you become, more loving of yourself and less critical of your body. Like a lot of women are, no matter how, perfect their body is. It's like, shit, this is wrong. Or that 1 ounce. If I don't get that 1 ounce off or on, I'm fucked up. Anyway, so those patterns dissipate. It's like, you know what? I just love the way I am. But then you get a better version of yourself, body-wise and so on like that. So congratulations, son. Really nice job. And it didn't take you long. Does trauma impact this? Must please scan my progress. This 18 day was very powerful. Thanks. Your trueness. Yeah, your trueness. So yeah, for you, you've really come into a strong sense of self, strong sense of identity. It's almost like your identity, again, a female identity, from what I'm sensing, has been destroyed. It's like how your father looked at women, and it's not just your father. Back in the day, as we go deeper, it's something about women as objects, or property, so to speak, that comes in your family, which really damages kids, and even now they've turned into objects and property, although it's the craziest thing, and this is why we're doing, the XI woman or XI feminine, is that women think that they're free, by wearing what they want to do and all that stuff, and being scantily clad. And again, I'm not saying don't do it, but the reason why you're doing it, if you're trying to be free to do that, you're actually imprisoning yourself. Get it? It's sad. I'm not going to get into all the details of that. But back to you. What was it? Yeah. So the person that said XI was very powerful kind of lost it. Anyway, so what's happened is that you're releasing being, say, property, because in relationships you turn into somebody's property, or she's mine type frequency. And this is where jealousy, so you would attract jealous partners and so on like that, right? Because it's a sense of loss for that. Anyway, by the way, that's a cornerstone of jealousy for the jealous. So you are releasing all of that. It's like, wait a second. This is me. I am a being. I am a presence. So it's not just of your physical form. You are actually flipping, which is really beautiful as well. So congratulations. And that's why, the 18-day hyper meditations has been really good for you. It's like, wait a second. It's not my human experience that I'm really worried about. Okay, that comes secondary, but again, it'll feel like the most important, the most precious thing for you. It's like you've switched. It's like, wait a second, I'm in my presence, or my spirit. I call it your timeless self. So you're seeing yourself from your spirit, and you're going, wow, this presence, the body, okay, is mine. So you become whole, or you become connected. So time-bound, timeless is integrating, and there's that inner beauty, and that's where people might get, they'll get attracted to you, or you have more of that glow coming. So really, nice job, congratulations. This one, Denise, please scan me. I started a new job. Thanks. Yeah. So as your new job, again, you've changed really, quite a bit. It's almost like you're moving too, or you just did move. That kind of scenario. What's happening? Is it a permanent job? Seems like a transitionary job. So you've changed a lot. So your environment has to change to define your new, say, residence. Which is really fantastic. So congratulations. That new job allows you to go, okay, who am I going to be in this job? So as you observe yourself, you're going to have two versions of yourself: the old way of doing things, and then the new way of being you. So always pick the new way, although the new way might feel like you don't know what it's about, you don't know where it's going to take you, and so on. But you obviously know where it's going to take the old. If you chose the old version of you, you obviously know what it's, where you're going to end up. So if you don't like the way you're going to end up, just like all the other times, choose the new you. So if you have questions, always choose the new, although you might not know where it's taking you. It's taking you to a better version than your old. So again, these new opportunities are there for you to make choices. Am I going to go with my new self or my old self? So just always connect with the new, and then in a short time, your old version completely, say, dissipates. And if you do it right, it would give you like 3-4 weeks. Yeah, about 3-4 weeks, and it's like, whoa. You look back. I would journal for you as well. You look back and then read back what you wrote about a month ago or from now, and you'll go, shit, that's a whole totally different me. And then towards that end, and it might be happening already, you're comparing. It's like, gosh, my back kind of looks like my mom, or the back pain or whatever. It's like, God, I don't need that. So this is where you get to get rid of how you age or how your body changes and so on. Again, you don't have to age like your parents do. This is, you start making that choice. One more, and then we'll call it a day, guys. This one, I had cognitive dissonance today when I had realized that asthma was leaving too much of my identity. Nice job. Really nice job. Yep. Usually asthma in men, it come from a distorted mom. So let's see here. This is Feroza, Feroza. Please scan the process of my daughter. And 18 is amazing. Thank you, and happy birthday. Thank you so much. Yeah, so for you, Feroza, is, you know how there's a lot of insecurities in you? Yeah, there's a lot of insecurities. Those insecurities was in your daughter. Now it's like it's a revitalization of that relationship. You know, where you're not like scared and holding on to that daughter. Fortunately, you know, when parents are scared, they project that fear of what's going to happen to their kids, and then they suffocate their kids, and it's like, God, you know, I don't, because I love my kids so much, and they use the excuse love, and it is an excuse, by the way, because I love my kids so much, I don't want X, Y, Z to happen to them, what happened to me. But then, unfortunately, you suffocate them, and then what happened to you, the outcome of what happened to you becomes the outcome of their life. Okay? So what you were afraid of, yes, that didn't happen to them, but the outcome. So let me just say that again. The exact same thing to you might not happen to them because of, you know, your suffocation. The outcome of what happened to you will happen to your daughter or your kids. That makes sense. Does that make sense to you? The outcome, not the exact same situation. So you protected them from the situation, but not the outcome. What you want to do and what you've done, again, and it's that's why I say congratulations. What you've done is that you go, oh, you've created a stronger version of yourself where you're not as, say, anxious or, you know, tense, so to speak, or insecure. It's allowed your daughter to really expand and grow and create security for them. So now you're two people. Now you're two identities of yourself, which is really beautiful. So congratulations. And this is where you've gotten closer. It's like you see the beauty in her, not the fear of your filters in her. Oh, shit, she can't turn into me. So again, you've created strength. She sees you as a strong identity and getting stronger and stronger. So she goes, oh shit, that's a pattern I want to copy, not the fears that's projecting or projected out of your eyes. So, and then so she becomes stronger, you become stronger, you help each other, and this is where that relationship is, they merging, not into one, but you're having a strong identity of each other, and then you're enjoying yourself. And then I don't know about the father. It's kind of a dominating type frequency. So that domination, whether it's your father or her father, you know, your child's father, that's not affecting you all. You're just stronger identities. All right, guys. Again, happy spring, happy new equinox, happy new year for those individuals who celebrate the new year. Thanks for wishing me a happy birthday. I'll see you on the Equinox call coming up tomorrow. Again, take a look at that. It's on Sajady.com. Overall, guys, be an observer of your life. Okay? And that's where truth starts to start showing through. So if you're resonating as truth, the people around you have to resonate as truth. And if more people around us resonated as truth, the world would be more truth, right? And that's how we transform the world or elevate consciousness. All right, guys, notice what you notice and then observe those details.